Good evening from Kirksville, Missouri. This is Randy Kirby, and this is Randy's Rant. And starting right off the bat, uh, I agree with you, Mary. We're right back to the 60s. This is what I have seen today. This is what it reminds me of. Uh, I basically watched for a good deal of time, didn't go to bed till around 2 a.m. Uh, but I got plenty of sleep. I didn't get up till about 9:30 this morning. And for me, that's plenty of sleep in these days. Every day is a nightmare when you wake up. Uh, bang. It's MAGA night at the White House. And this is just another example of how basically, uh, everybody here, particular, knows what happened last night. It wasn't as bad as the night before, but still, uh, Mr. Twitter. No, I got a new nickname for him. This is Tweety Turd. Damn him. And he was out on the lawn before he went down for the launch. I enjoyed watching the launch. And of course, he was there for the photo op. And he did utter a stupid statement out on the lawn that MAGA loves black people. Really? You expect black people to believe that? Damn. I've always tried to keep this on the light side, but I've been telling friends lately it's getting harder and harder to keep this on the light side. We have to get this man out. He toted or talks about on the lawn, he was discussing the fact that it's the far left that is behind all the violence, all the looting, and all that is being caused by Antifa and other far left groups. With no evidence, he just pulled it out of his butt. And then later on, while he's flying to Florida, Bill Barr comes out and says the same damn thing with no proof, which goes against everything state authorities are saying in Minnesota. They're saying that what they're seeing is online from white supremacist groups stirring people up. In other words, some of the people coming in from other states are white supremacists mixing in the crowd, causing the violence. But no, Donnie and Bill have decided, his pocket attorney, by the way, have decided no, it's the extreme far left that is doing this. And he also, last night, Tweety Turd was out there falsely accusing the mayor of D.C. of not assisting with police and the with the Secret Service and the Park Police out in front of the White House last night. The Secret Service had to walk back what the tweeting fool said this morning. And Donnie doesn't like the mayor because the mayor is a Democrat. Here's what's going on. And first, let me hit this with Fox. Fox was busy putting down Joe Biden and Amy Klobuchar. That figures. Not talking about anything except the launch and these bad Democrats. And that's what's going on, basically. What we're seeing is Trump and his minions and the GOP in general are trying to cause a war between Republicans and Democrats. That's what it's amounting to. And don't forget the tweet he did the other day with Ted Nugent about the only good Democrat is a dead Democrat. And what he's doing now on, let me see if I got that wrote down or written down, or I had to remember it. Uh, as all this is going on in LA, violence was escalating with police with batons hitting protesters in LA, firing rubber bullets, some into the ground, mostly into the ground and not the crowds. But he's trying to make that even more. That's what he's doing. He's threatening to send in the military. And that will only incite people more. He knows that. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's not that completely stupid. What he's trying to do is cause a civil war in this country. And this keeps up, he's going to get his way. Damn. I wanted to say yesterday I misspoke referring to the governor of Minnesota when what I meant was the mayor of Minneapolis. As a Democrat, and of course Donnie went after that. And there, according to reports that I heard today, some of the protesters arrested for destruction and looting are not even from the area. They're from other states in a lot of cases. They're not from the state of Minnesota, and they are coming in from other states. And that's where I say it's white supremacists going in. They love that environment with masks. They can wear a mask, you can't tell who they are. Oh, shit. And at that time this morning, I hadn't verified, but heard that Tweety Turd was nasty tweeting again in the early morning hours, which turned out to be true. Next, I wanted to go through some figures from Adair County, which I expect to be rising. We have 29 cases. I don't know what they mean by recovered, because at one point they said they had 5 cases that were self-quarantined. And on the chart itself that I Googled, it says recovered minus. It doesn't give a figure at all. But that whole chart gave nothing on recovery in Missouri. In Adair County, 0 deaths. Missouri confirmed cases are 11,752. Again, they don't show any recoveries. 676 deaths. Keep in mind, even though the graph was showing that after the 25th it was coming back down, it was headed back up. And that's because of the brainless idiots down at Lake of Ozark on Memorial Day weekend. And like I said earlier, the AG came out blaming Antifa and the Florida left extremists for the violence, because Boss Man told him to go out, that he had pulled it out of his ass, and here you go, Bill, have this and go out there and tell them. Shit. I got something written here, but I can't read what it is, so I'll skip over it. And I think it was basically what I was saying. Who would have ever thought that Bill Barr had come out there and trashed the left for the riots? That figured. We already knew that's what he was going to do. I figured that it would just be Blowhard Donnie that did that. but he had to go out because his boss told him to get out there. Then he had just freshly pulled that turd out of his mouth, so he handed it to Bill Barr. Uh, and like I said, that goes against what authorities say in the state where it is happening. They're saying that they're seeing activity online from white supremacists suggesting they get in there and stir up trouble. Of course, Barr and that bunch, they don't want to find that out because, after all, those are MAGA people if they're doing that kind of shit. It's better to blame it, and this has been planned evidently for a couple of days now. Blame it on the left. And A.G. Barr, what he's doing is making the whole thing political. And I just repeated what I was talking about, what state authorities are finding different. And like I said, this is being pushed as a war between the right and the left by their president. Their president, not mine. He never will be. He divides and never tries to unify. He doesn't want that. He wants all out war. The closer we get to this election, then he can claim martial law, call off the election, and we'll do it at a better time. And of course, as everybody saw, he was down there for the launch. Somehow he got that skunk to lie close to his head. I'm guessing that the feet are at one end, and it was just the tail would blow up every now and then. And this is another failure of the media. They go after the bright and shiny object. All this about the death of George Floyd. And where were the figures on cases in the United States of coronavirus, and where was the number of deaths? They were gone. They were gone last night. I watched all night long. The only time they came back today on CNN was during Governor Andrew Cuomo's update about the virus. And then it just swiftly went away when they started covering different cities about the protest. And as for the death, according to information available in the videos, other officers involved were accessories to murder. His pulse was checked by the second guy back behind Chevin. Chevin had his knee on his neck, and they took his pulse. He had no pulse. Chevin kept his knee on George Floyd's neck for another 2 minutes and 46 seconds. I guess that was to make sure that he was dead. Also, when the EMTs got there, they didn't try to resuscitate him. They just removed him from the area. Shit. And now look at what we've got. It reminded me so much. I would remember more about that period in history than Grace. Grace was only about 7 or 8 years old at the time. I was a junior in high school when Martin Luther King was killed and Bobby Kennedy. And I remember the assassination of John F. Kennedy. And I checked MSNBC too. They didn't have anything but coverage of the demonstrations and the protesters, switching from one city to another, West Coast, East Coast. And I was kind of proud of the people of Atlanta. There were a lot of protesters that showed up today to help clean up the city of Atlanta. And that I'm grateful for. Uh, they want to disassociate themselves with that violence in front of CNN last night. And that's what I'm saying is that is strange that all of a sudden they're there and they're trying to break into the CNN building. And if I'm correct, that used to be the old Omni building. It's now the World Center for CNN. So I remember that building well. Uh, and Tweety Turd, I had forgotten about this, was tweeting that the protesters almost breached the wall. Total bullshit. That would, in his estimation, they would have met with vicious dogs and awesome weapons. How's that not sound like 1960s? That was a rough damn decade to grow up in. Shit. Now, because of him, this man, we need to show up in Washington and stay there and convince the Senate you're not going to do it, not because the Russian agent there, Rich Mitch the bitch, you're not going to convince them to go for the 25th Amendment. It needs to be done. We've got a madman that wants a civil war so that he can be reelected in this country. Damn. I tell you, it is really hard, and I know it's hard on all of you too, to wake up every damn day to another round of the nightmare in the White House. We have but one thing that we can do besides hit the streets with social distancing, and that I noticed a lot of too. There are a lot of masks in these protests. They realize what's going on, but it's important enough that they have to get out and speak about it. When the same vein, we have to get out and get that man removed. I don't want to live under a dictatorship. I refuse to live under a dictator. Ah, damn. And really, I'm not even in the mood to calm my ass down. But this does help. It's a way to relieve stress. And I almost feel like in the mornings when I get up and tune in TV, it's time to find Donnie and beat the hell out of the sofa with it while I'm watching TV. Shit. Oh, again, we have but one choice right now. We have to hope that we do have an election coming up on November 3rd, that he doesn't get his way. I was trying to see up here what it said on, it's just a Google thing. It slid back and out of sight. That's another thing I've been getting is I'm getting a lot of offers. Hey, get this free. Hey, get that free. I don't trust any of them. If I want them, want anything, I can find it for my damn self. There's not a hell of a lot that I get on the internet anyway. As far as I don't trust it in a lot of cases. A lot of cases, you'll look up something that you would like to do, and you don't know some of these things. I've even been tricked by hitting the wrong place to get to direct TV, have it lead to a screen that I couldn't get off of. I now know what to do. You power off right then, and it lets go of you and you can come back on. That's something that I think each and every one of us should realize you get stuck on a screen, it'll give you a support number. You are to call that number or you're stuck on that page unless you reach over and power off. When you do that, they can't hold you. And when you come back up, it's gone. I just thought I'd pass that along. Uh, I'm going to try to relax for a while. I see Carrie out there. I see Virginia. I see Mary, Maria, Dennis, Brian, and let me see if I can scroll up. I want to make sure and say hello to everybody. I really appreciate how many have shown up, how many have already liked, because there's a lot more than I'm actually seeing when I go live. I know that because I am finding a lot of the groups that I will share this with, they are now starting to get interested in my rant. Hello, Joe. Hello, Carrie. I'll be looking for your sports show, buddy. And let's see if we got anybody else. And hello, Mary. Hello, Sherry. Hello, Carol. All right. All right. I really, really appreciate your time. This is a whole lot of you. We are getting this bigger and bigger with every show, as far as who I can visually see has shown up, and pretty good number in the chat room. Keeps improving too. We're now at 152 members. On my Facebook yesterday, I found out I had another person has subscribed to my channel. So this Blue Dot family, we're growing it bigger and bigger. We will make a difference. I just hope we can stop this man before he totally just takes over. I hate to put it that way, but our country is in great danger with all the protests that's going on now. This is exactly what Donnie wants. He wants to declare it insurrection and send in the military. And the military will do no different than the National Guard. They're going to protect property. They're going to protect lives. But there may be some bad military, just like there's bad cops. Cops, for the most part, are good people. It's only a problem when you have bad apples in there and they seem to wield influence over the other cops around them. There's like an unwritten oath that you cannot tell on another officer. That kind of atmosphere has to change. If it doesn't, things aren't going to get better. They're going to get worse. All right. Now we'll be putting out my memes later on my YouTube here. I usually put just the paypal.me. So I'll put that information here when I'll be sending it out to many groups. You can share it from here. I can't even try to share it any more than I have when I start into the program. That's where I lose the ability to share it from here. It is not a requirement that you lend me a hand. So many of you show me so many good things to post that I'm thankful for that. That keeps me going. And particularly some of them that are comedy, that keeps me out here because all of us need to laugh every now and then. All of us have another area in common with the other side, and that's music. They're not quite as stubborn as they used to be. I can remember a time when friends of mine, they couldn't listen to the Rolling Stones anymore because they went to Cuba and played. Uh, they couldn't listen to Elton John because he's gay. uh, and things were getting better. And then another police killing. And this won't stop. If we don't have all four of these officers pay what they should, one was a murderer, first degree. The other three were complacent or accessories to the fact. They should all face charges of first degree murder. Anybody else, if it had been me, my ass would have been in jail a lot quicker than that Chauvin was. Damn. All right, I will let you go. Didn't know that light was on back there. My head's in the way. I couldn't see the crack top of the door. All right, I will let you go at this time. Looking forward to some time off. Hope to post a lot of music during that time. Feel free to share any of the songs that you like. Go ahead and share them. I put them out there on my timeline, and then I go from there to other groups with it. You can do the same. Feel free to. Um, I'll let you go. Try to unwind. It's hard to stay away from watching this. I'm expecting, I hope, and I pray for better tonight, that it will calm down as it gets dark. I just hope. I do have that hope that this can change. There's a lot of people encouraging them. Uh, Maybe things will speed up a little bit and they will realize they're not going to be, until there's justice for George Floyd, there's not going to be peace in this. And that's what I'm afraid of, that the longer they take to arrest the other officers, the longer this is going on. I will leave you, though, with peace. Resist, persist, and insist. We get Tweety Turd out of office November 3rd. Vote out the turd, or flush the turd. Yeah, that's it. November 3rd, flush the turd. We'll see you Monday, and I'll probably see you at the meeting tomorrow evening. Have a good evening. I appreciate everything this family. I love this family and what it's done for me, keeping me out here, building me up. I'll see you at the meeting. Have a good one. Bye bye. Share this shit.